So this is where we stand. Currently, you can get blocky, you get points. However, you'll notice I just bounce off, or they bounce off of me, except the original one, which causes the game over that we did last time. The reason for that is I only applied those settings to the original, and I did not apply it or override it to all of the spawned pucks. So make sure you go to overrides, hit apply all, and now when I get blocky, they all make me say game over. So next, we just completed this piece here. Pause, show game over. I think we should jump into getting this button right here to work and this high score right here. So those are going to be a couple of user interface things. These other things are just tweaks, level layout boxes. We can clean that up and things like that. But these are necessary things. So let's do that next. We're going to do this live and hope it works. So we need a button, new button, which is going to be in our canvas. Our canvas is what holds all of our user interface. So if I go to my score text and hover and hit F, that is my big user interface. That is all on a canvas. That's this. So something we want in our user interface, like a button in the high score text, but we'll get there. Let's get the button. We want it to be on our canvas. So I'm going to right click on canvas, go to UI, and we want a, let's go button text mesh pro, so it's ultra crisp, clear text. And there is our button, shows up right in the middle. I'm going to Shift Alt, click the top left corner to make this orient way up there. And that way I can, scrub it down this away and maybe off the edge a little bit. And let's change the width a little bit. It's a little wide. There we go. All right. For now, the text is okay. What we are really concerned about is this on click. We want it to run a function. A function is something like in the player controller where we have the start and the update and late update and all of those different functions. We can make our own custom function that will run whenever we tell it to. It won't run automatically, but we can tell it to run. So if I collapse these, here's an on trigger enter. These are all different functions. Name of the function and then parentheses. So what we're going to do is in our player controller, underneath our, I'm going to expand this to make sure we have the parentheses correctly indented. I got a bunch of empty gaps here for some unknown reason. There we go. So these are if statements. This, that's going to bother me. I need to fix that. There we go. So these brackets are holding hands. They match. These are holding hands. The on trigger enter, those are holding hands. And inside the class, so after the on trigger enter, I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to call this void new game. Empty parentheses, set of brackets. And then for right now, let's just do a debug.log. It's a new game. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to test, can I make this run? And if I can make it run, this should print out to the console area. So I'm going to save that. And currently that's not going to run, right? I don't have anything telling it to run. Oops, wrong game. So we already have the player controller on here. We have a button that doesn't look very nice. But let's just go to our button here and our text under here, the text mesh pro, we'll make that say new. And you can style that to look like his if you want. I'm just going to leave it for now. But in the button, in the on click, so when we click this, it should what? Well, we need to do something. So hit the plus. And on which object is the function we want to run? Well, remember, we wanted to run this function. Where is this function? Where is this script attached? Well, it is on the player. So I'm going to say, okay, on the player, we want it to run inside the player control script, and it doesn't show up. Why is that? Because it's not a public function. If you don't declare it as public, it will not show up in that list. Hit save. Now, player, pick a function, inside player controller. Hey, look, there's new game. Cool. So we have a button. When we click it, it'll run on the player inside this script. It will run that function. So let's test it out. And we're going to bring up our console here. Oh my goodness, I got so many things running. Hold on, I need to clear some of those things out. There we go. I took out a bunch of debug, log, and print statements that were running because I couldn't see what I was doing in the console. There. Play, console. Ah, nice and clear. Click. Hey look, new game, new game, new game. I can click it and it does something. That is a big step forward, folks. We have buttons and we can click them. Now, when the game is over, can we click it? Yes, that's good news. So the game time stands still as it does when you're in quarantine, but you can also still click buttons. So that's a nice feature there. However, it does not make a new game. So what should happen when we make a new game? Well, let's go look and see. Here's the original game. Oops, arrow keys help. Oh, I died. Click new. New. Notice, wherever I died at, when I hit new, he always spawns at the same spot. Interestingly, because I'm not positive that there's something preventing the puck from spawning right on top of me. But anyways, the blocky spawns a new location. It erases all of them. And then, actually, we could just restart the scene, honestly. The problem with that is your high score will get wiped. So I'm just going to delete all of the pucks and spawn new blocky and new puck. So let's try that. So the first place we go is Google. Well, in this case, DuckDuckGo, but if you just search Unity delete all objects tag or with tag, there is a very simple forum response here. And I'll explain what this is. You probably don't want to copy paste it, but I found the answer here, so I always like to show how I found the answer. To start with, I'm actually going to put this in the update because I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to make it so when I hit the N as in Nancy key, it's going to destroy all the pucks. So remember, my pucks are tagged as puck. So we can go back to Visual Studio. Inside of here, I have my cheat sheet open. We're going to check for a key press. Input.get key down, and in parentheses we put the key code dot, usually the letter, in this case N, and then open and close curly braces. Now what do we want to happen? Well, we're going to make an array, which is a whole list of objects that gets stored in one variable. So remember, before we did a int variable, there's a game object variable, and now a game object array. We could just say game object and name a variable, but to make it an array, we put these square brackets. And I'm going to call mine all pucks. So in other words, it's going to be a list of all the pucks in the game. And how does it make that list? Well, there's a function called GameObject.findGame. There it is. Find game objects, plural. If I double click on that, in parentheses, we can just put what is the tag we're looking for? Pucks. So right now, when we run the game, when I press the N key, it's going to make a list of everything tagged as pucks. And what do we want to do with that? Well, there's a statement called for each because we want it to go through that list and basically destroy each one. So we can say for each game object, and we can call this anything we want. In other words, for all the things it found in the list, I'm going to call it something arbitrary like dude in all pucks. Now notice it indented here. It's going to do for each thing it found in the array, we want to GameObject.destroy the thing in the list. So make a list of game objects by finding everything tagged as pucks. Then for each game object thing, we just made that word up, dude, in the list, go ahead and destroy each thing or dude. So let's test this out. Let's go to Unity. Now we can hit play. I'm going to go this and hit the N key. Pucks is not defined. Oh. Pucks. Yeah, make sure your tags match or else it won't work. Funny story. Let's try again. N. Ha! It's like a kill switch. Nuke. I can make as many as I want, and then when I feel like it's dangerous, I can just hit the N key. You know, it's a complete cheat at the moment, but the point here is when we hit game over and hit N, it does in fact stop the pucks. So we're going to make that, we're going to put this inside a function that happens when we click new. So instead of inside of the key code, we know this code works. So we can cut that. We don't actually need this. That was just to test it. But inside new game, paste. So when we click on new game, it's going to find all the pucks and destroy them. Good. We also need to change the position of our player, and we need to set the score back to 0. To get our player back to a specific position, we can go see what position we want them to be at. So let's say I want my player to always start at, well, let's just 0 it out, right? Reset position 0, 0. Okay. Save that. Go back here and say, okay, your transform, because the script is already on the player, we can reference transform dot position, and then we give it a vector 2 holding those two values. So, whoops. We can say transform dot position equals, and then we're going to give it a new vector 2 because we want to give it two new an X and a Y, two things. Vector 2. So in this case, it was simply 0, 0. So let's go test that. Play. I can go around, I can click, and then when I hit new, hey, it jumps me to a new spot. My score is still 5 and there's no puck. But let's pause this one here and we'll do that one in the next tutorial.